Hey loves, it's your girl Mariah Sincere, and I am back with another bomb live. If you are new to this channel, thank you for coming. Please hit the like and subscribe button. If you've been rocking with me, welcome back. I'm glad to see y'all. Remember, I am a self-love coach who specializes in helping people radically transform their lives through one-on-one training. I've been through every situation you can think of. I've been through toxic relationships, toxic childhood, bad jobs, not being where I want to be in life. And at the beginning of the year, I decided I wanted to do something drastic and move to another country. So I'm coming at y'all from the beautiful city of Medellin, Colombia. So I'm about that action. When I want to do something, it gets done. I can help you do the same. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, hit me up. My email address is in the description box. Now, let's get to it. Hey, what's up? D. Mally from Cali. Buenas tardes. ¿Cómo está? Yes. Okay. D. Mally, were you in the live yesterday? I feel like you weren't in my live yesterday. Something was missing. Something was missing. I feel like you weren't there. But it was a really good live yesterday. I don't know if you caught the replay. So I decided I'm gonna start kind of weaving politics in with the cultural content, right? Because we got to be able to talk about serious things, and then we can talk about the mess too. It's also with the purpose of a lesson. All the time, it's always so that you can get some knowledge. Okay, D Mally, thank you. Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about it, because I don't want this to be a situation where we had that election and Trump got elected. Y'all know I don't like them Dems, but at the same time, I think uh we still need to hold this man accountable. Period. Even if you were for Trump and not for Kamala, we still got to hold our leaders accountable, and we also have to hold ourselves accountable for the decisions that we make in our lives. So I will be covering these topics. I feel like it's good to have another perspective. I think Candace Owens, I do like her. I don't agree with her on everything, because y'all got to understand, Candace Owens, she comes at things from a religious perspective. And then I think Black people have a different perception of Candace, because she has a white husband, which in my opinion, I don't care about that. But I think for a lot of people, even though she is clearly a sister, clearly a Black woman, people feel like she's extremely whitewashed or may have come from a privileged background, which none of that may have been true. I know plenty of Black women that came from the hood that are, a little bit more reserved, a little bit more couth, not as rough around the edges when they speak and with how they present themselves. But, I would also like to offer a perspective that some might feel is a little bit more conservative. I don't want to label it, coming from somebody like myself who did come from a lot of the same backgrounds as other Black people, who is a little bit more rough around the edges. I try to conduct myself in a ladylike manner, but I still got that in me. Okay, so we're gonna get into it today. We're gonna talk about Oprah. It's being alleged that Kamala slid some money her way for her to endorse her. We are going to be talking about Trump's new border czar, right? And he's keeping that name. Y'all know border czar was a name given to Kamala Harris, and it was supposed to be negative, but I guess he liked the whole border czar thing. And if y'all don't know the word czar, that actually came from Russia. They used to have a czar, which was like the king of Russia. So the new border czar. And on top of that, my homeboy Skinny sent me some information. Sent me a video about the water in North Carolina. What's going on? So I'm gonna talk about the water in North Carolina first. Then I'm going to get to the whole Oprah and Kamala thing. And then lastly, we will close out with an introduction to our new border czar. And y'all can weigh in and tell me how y'all feel about it. I'll drop a link in the live. So again, if you're just now coming in, hit the like button. It helps people know that I'm live. I know I didn't come on my regular time today, y'all, but I said I just did not want the day to go by and I didn't come up on here. So I am going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. I know I should probably wait for people to get in here, but then when people catch the replay, I don't like all that space and time in between me actually getting to the topic. Hey, Cha-Cha, what up, sis? How are you? Look, I said, I know this is a late lunch hour, baby. This is the dinner hour, really. But I did not want to not come on here today. So I said, maybe y'all getting off of work. And then I know a lot of y'all stay in different states, so it might be earlier. Okay, so Skinny Boy sent me this. I'm going to go ahead and put my earphones on. Let me make sure y'all can see. Okay, y'all can. So this is about the water in North Carolina.
So let me give you an update on what's going on.
Ooh, I didn't even have my microphone plugged in. Give me 1 second, y'all. It's always something ghetto with me and this technology. Okay, I need help. Y'all wait till I come into some money, baby. I'm gonna hire a Colombian. They're gonna be in here helping me with everything. What am I? Microphone. Oh, I gotta plug it in. Y'all see this? Y'all don't laugh at me. But where the hell I plug it in at? Oh, here it is. Hey, Olivia, girl, I seen you in the chat. Woo, here we go. Okay. Now I can hear myself. All right, let's go. All right, Olivia, what's up, sis? Cha-Cha. Yeah, I know y'all could hear me because I still had the sound from my camera on, but I don't like that. I prefer this microphone much better. And then I need it to listen to the videos and y'all not hear an echo. So let's go. Again, we're talking about the waters in North Carolina now. Skinny Boy sent me this today. This is from indigo.carolina on Instagram. So this was from, I guess, November 2nd.
Going on with North Carolina because the media isn't doing this. Hi, welcome to my news channel. I go by Conscious Juice. Do you see this brown, dirty, murky water over here, y'all? They found out that the rivers in North Carolina is flowing in the opposite direction, and they are finding these strange geometric shapes on top of the water, these frequency lines. Y'all see what I'm saying? Y'all see these?
What does that mean? I don't know. I'm hoping someone's going to explain it. So which way did the river used to go? Like that direction. Well, you want to walk down here? Okay. It changed direction. Pretty odd.
Not only that, there is also a toxic aroma in the air and also in the mud, so powerful that is literally disintegrating boots. The theory is it's actually the lithium mixed with the
now y'all have been telling me about these lithiums for a minute, but the fact that their boots are being disintegrated, there has to be something really acidic. It's something that's not neutral. Like if you're disintegrating rubber, it has to be something extremely acidic. Imagine walking through mud and your damn boots start melting.
The cadaver bacteria that's actually disintegrating the boot.
The mud is so toxic, it's disintegrating the boots of people trying to clean up. So we have a real problem in our river that was the purest and cleanest water in the world is now completely toxic and disintegrating people's boots. Yeah, it's bad. We're in a very bad situation, and they're having nosebleeds and coughing up blood. So anybody near these things is in serious trouble.
Where do all these toxins come from?
So the mud is toxic, the air is toxic, but the media is not talking about this to warn people, to tell them to stop going to North Carolina. And if you've been on TikTok lately, you've been seeing people going to North Carolina to help people out. Do y'all believe something new could arise from this, y'all? Because this is how disease, sickness, and viruses start. And the lack of coverage on the part of the media on this, y'all, astounding. If they were looking for an award, they definitely got it. But I'm just letting y'all know what's going on with North Carolina. So let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comments below. Let's continue to get this shift, y'all. Peace out. So let me give you an update.
So I guess this is not normal. Let me look at some of the comments. They said there are old military storage facilities in Swananoa River area with known Agent Orange contamination, and with the Helena purge of water like what happened, you can figure the rest out. Someone said toxins clearly are being pumped into the water. Purest and cleanest water in the world. Somebody said this is true. So I'm guessing they're from North Carolina. About the water being toxic. It would be mind-blowing considering you could literally drink from the streams before all this happened. So I found this. I'm gonna pull it up. I found something talking about it a little bit. And I'm going to share this. So this is from WRAL Docs. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I just think that this is crazy, and these companies need to be stopped. Hey, SL, how are you? Yeah, that is scary, Olivia. Like, I mean, come on now. It just kind of seems like I wonder if this stuff is on purpose or if these are companies just not being careful about the waste, right? And not discarding it, which is insane. Like, I feel like people don't care whether or not middle class or middle income people are healthy and safe in the United States, so long as they can make a quick dollar. But I mean, contamination is very difficult to contain. So, I mean, I know when we hear about these kind of things happening in certain states, we feel like it's just limited to those states. But river water, depending on where the river flows and where it begins, like it doesn't care about borders. Okay.
We're all contaminated.
Girl.
We made baby bottles with it. We made their formula. Like, that's what we did.
When I take a shower, I am showering in contaminated water, that we are bathing and cooking and cleaning in contaminated water.
All of these North Carolinians are.
I'm going to say this. This is why I just do not drink tap water at all. Like, I don't even drink filtered tap water. And yes, I know that you can get filters and things like that. I just don't trust it. I don't trust it. And I also know that there are certain bottled waters that are not necessarily safe either. But I feel like I'd rather take my chance with the bottled water than the tap water. Like, I'd rather spend the money and drink bottled water, because you never know what these people are putting into our water. I remember that had been a big thing. People were talking about. Kim Iverson did a show about them putting fluoride in the water. Also, a lot of it could just be pipes. You know, if you live somewhere where the pipes are old and they're rusted and they've never been replaced, then you're going to have contamination in your water. I noticed here in the apartment I live in Columbia, like when I first came here and I turned the water on, the water came out like brown, as if there was like the water just hadn't been turned on for a long time and it was clearing out all that rust. So like, I don't drink the water, and it doesn't smell bad. And now when I run the water, it's clear. It runs clear. But still, like, that is scary.
Talking about the toxic chemicals found in their water.
Now that water coming out right there is contaminated.
I don't think people realize how screwed up this situation is.
I'm tired of, to be honest, watching friends fight cancer.
You shouldn't have to worry that your water at your home is making your family sick. That it's unacceptable.
The chemicals were dumped into their water supply by a plant in North Carolina.
Chemistry powers today.
Good thing it's Teflon.
At Chemours, we care.
Owned by Chemours, a subsidiary of DuPont.
It infuriated all of us to learn that Chemours had been dumping this chemical compound into our Cape Fear River for decades.
Cape Fear provides drinking water for hundreds of thousands of North Carolinians in the southeastern part of the state.
We should not have to live this way. And it's all because of them and what they done.
Hey Skinny, what's up? Glad to see you here. So I'm actually talking about this water in North Carolina because of that Instagram video that you sent me. SL, do you live in North Carolina? Whole house filters are expensive, but a good investment. Yeah, I just don't trust it. I grew up drinking City of Dallas tap water. If you grew up in the 90s, we didn't buy bottled water. If you grew up, I don't even believe people that lived in middle class neighborhoods bought bottled water. I know that became a thing recently. As I got older, I stopped drinking tap water. But y'all remember, we used to drink the water out of the hose. But I don't trust these companies and these corporations enough to drink water out the tap. And I can't believe I went the majority of my childhood drinking water out the tap. I think Flint, ended a lot of that for people. Crazy. I just sent you a video on Instagram pertaining to this. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It sounds like a result from the Helene. That's what somebody was saying. Like, that maybe these chemicals were contained, but something might have caused some type of spill. And yeah, they're not talking about it. No, I'm in Ohio, but I don't trust our water nowadays. No, not at all. Like, hell no. We can watch a little bit more of this, but I really just wanted to make this just to let my subscribers know, if you are in that area, if you plan on traveling to that area, be very careful with the water there. I don't care if it looks clean. I'm actually nervous to play this because this looks really good, y'all. And I just got a copyright yesterday. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I think y'all get the point. What it seems like is they're dumping chemicals in the water in North Carolina. Whether they're intentionally dumping it, because this was from a few months ago. Let me pull it back up. Give me a second. I'll let y'all know. So this was recent. This wasn't something old. This was from a year ago. So this was put up a year ago. So something has been wrong with the water for a minute. I think there might have been some new spills, but this documentary was made a year ago. So before Hurricane Helene, it might not have been bad enough to where it was burning the rubber off of people's boots, but something has been wrong with the water over there. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Oprah. Now, if y'all have not heard, people are coming from Oprah because they're saying that Kamala Harris paid her for her endorsement. And I'm going to show y'all a couple of clips, but basically Oprah is playing games. But let's be for real. All these celebrities got paid. Every single one of them, right? first of all, it doesn't really benefit a celebrity to endorse a political candidate. It really doesn't, especially if there's something like a singer or a rapper, because you got to understand they lose money when they endorse candidates. So they don't, unless they really have a conviction about that candidate, it's just not a smart financial decision if you are an artist to endorse political candidates, because you might have a situation where half of your fans like that candidate and half of your fans don't, and then you end up losing money. So it's never been strategically smart in terms of the finances for celebrities to endorse political candidates. Like, if y'all know anything about business, most of the people that I know that own some type of business, they try to stay out of politics as much as possible because they don't want people not doing business with them because of politics. Now, you do have some people that don't care, but it's just like the general rule that people who own businesses tend to not talk about their political affiliations in public. Unless they just are really strongly convicted about it, or unless it's something that will affect their business. With celebrities, their main purpose is to entertain, to be jesters. Nobody really cares about their political opinions. So I heard For No Fame talking about that this morning, how y'all know Cardi B came out and she was like, I'm not going to endorse anybody. But towards the end, she ended up having to get up there and give that ratchet speech for Kamala Harris. But she really didn't want to. And I actually was surprised when I saw that endorsement, because I knew that Cardi B, if you listen to some of the things she's been saying over the last few years, you know that Cardi B ain't really rocking with Kamala like that. But at the end of the day, I feel like these celebrities that are bought and paid for, we know Cardi got on through payola, and that's not to knock her. That's not to say that she is not, Cardi's very fashionable. She's very likable in terms of personality. Really, the only thing she gets on people's nerves about is her whole drama with Offset, right? But we know that she skyrocketed to the level of fame that she did because of payola, but nobody's just putting you on and you don't owe a debt back. So a lot of these celebrities, you can call it selling your soul. Some might have literally done that, but a lot of these celebrities have people that they are beholden to. And when they say jump, these celebrities got to ask how high, even if they don't want to. I could even tell Beyonce wasn't really just feeling Kamala like that. Honestly and truly, it wasn't the same energy that she had when she was singing for Barack Obama. Like, it wasn't that energy. So I feel like at the end of the day, a lot of these celebrities received a check. DJ Academics came out and said that Kamala Harris offered him a check. She refused. Y'all know she called Kai Cenat, offered Kai Cenat a check. She refused. On Who's Your Daddy podcast, which is a white girl, Kamala Harris spent what, $600,000 to go on that podcast, allegedly. And it didn't even do good numbers. It didn't do Rogan numbers. And y'all know Rogan wasn't paying Donald Trump. No, Donald Trump wasn't paying Rogan to do that podcast. I believe Rogan does a lot of his podcasts for free, right? Because he's gonna get the views, he's gonna get the money. Like, he doesn't need it. He's got the biggest podcast in the world. So let's look at some of these clips. There was a reporter that kind of hassled Oprah yesterday. Now, people been saying that Oprah is, shady. Now, been speaking about her for years. Y'all are free to give y'all opinion about that in the chat. To be honest, I don't really follow her like that. I just know I've heard bad things about her, but not like to the extent. It kind of seems like it's kind of hidden. People are still afraid to come out and speak on her. It wasn't to the extent of the information that I was getting about Diddy before he even got arrested. I'm gonna say that. Again, guys, if y'all are just now coming in, hit the like button. So this is a reporter trying to talk to Oprah. So this is from the Shade Room. It says she said what she said. Oprah denies being paid $1 million to endorse Kamala Harris.
Hey Oprah, good morning. How are you, darling? You're looking very good. How do you think the election went?
Not talking about the election. Thank you very much.
Oh, is it true that they paid you $1 million for the endorsement for Kamala?
Not true.
Not true. Okay.
I was paid nothing ever.
What do you think about all the celebrities with their mass exodus?
I'm not talking about
Do you think Prince Harry's gonna lose his visa now that Trump's president?
Not he gonna lose his visa. He ain't gonna lose his.
Thank you,
Prince
Oprah.
Harry is not gonna lose his visa. So she's saying it's not true, but this is the type of games that they play. Because I'm about to show y'all her explanation. So if you can see this, it says Oprah says her production company that she owns, received payment for live stream events. I did not take any personal fee. However, the people who worked on that production needed to be paid $1 million. It cost $1 million to produce that. Come on now, $1 million. Are we slow here? 1 million. So this is the type of games that these celebrities play. You know, a lot of rich people are the biggest scammers. And I'm not saying that to talk bad about rich people. A lot of this is just like, hey, be smart, play the game. There are a lot of tax incentives for being rich. You can put a lot of things in people's name. All the rich people that I know, they own a lot of stuff that they don't put in their name. They put it in other people's name, or they might put it in a company's name, so it's not attached to them. But she playing games. Girl, you was paid. Now, she might have paid some employees out of the money that she was paid. Sure. But you got paid to endorse Kamala Harris. Like, let's stop playing these games. And there are a lot of people who were naive who will see her explanation and be like, okay, well, she didn't get paid. It was so she could pay her staff. Ma'am, sir, stop playing. Hey, Jamal, good to see you, brother. Millie sounds like lunch money to Oprah. Well, you know what? That might be true. But then again, we don't know, SL. We don't know. Because here's the thing. I know we think a lot of the times these celebrities have more money than what they actually have. I think a lot of it be smoke and mirrors. And, you know, from what I've heard, Oprah is a gatekeeper who is beholden to people who have even more money than her. And, you know, you could be rich, but you got to keep money coming in. Either you got to keep money coming in if you're spending it, or you don't spend the money you already have. And we know Oprah's over there living lavish. So she's spending the money she has. You got to keep money coming in. And $1 million for an endorsement, that's nothing, you know? That's a good deal. Whoa, you look so beautiful, love. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. What's okay? I love the love in the comments. These celebs don't really control that money. It belongs to the industry. Yeah, like for example, we thought Diddy had way more money than what he did, and he was only able to offer $50 million for bail, you know, and I don't believe he increased that offer since then. But you got money though, right? And then we were learning that he had other rich sugar daddies that have really been the ones funding his lifestyle. So a lot of this is smoke and mirrors. I told y'all about this, how like in Dallas, a lot of the strip club industry, it looks like a lot of those clubs are like Black owned clubs. But if you go look on the paperwork, that white men really own those clubs. So you got a lot of the club, you know, owners, managers walking around telling everybody they own this club. The girls that work at the club are Black. The bouncers and the managers that works at these clubs are Black, but behind the scenes, on paper, you have like one white man in Dallas who owns several of these clubs, and he never comes in there, right? He might send somebody in there, but it's not what you think. It's all smoke and mirrors. And a lot of it was so we could be like, okay, hold these people to a high standard, really care about their opinions and what they think, because somebody that looks like us has money in their pocket, when the whole time, again, they weren't running the show. I'm willing to bet J and B not as rich as we think neither. Just like Farrakhan pointed out about Kanye, I think all of the numbers are wrong. Because if you think about it, Beyonce is what, 40? She's in her 40s now. I want to say between 41 and 43. She's been working her butt off since she was literally a kid. Got super famous as a teenager, has put out several albums, has worked on several movies. This woman is still at her big age with this long career, and I'm not trying to call her old. That's not the point I'm making here. I'm saying as much as she's done in her career, as many tours as she's done, as much longevity she's had in her career, and you're putting out hair care lines, you're putting out Ivy Park. A lot of this stuff isn't even doing well, to be honest. She's putting out liquor. It's like she's working her butt off as if she just got into the industry and she's super duper hungry. And there's been such an increase in it. Like I haven't seen her go this hard in terms of selling products. So that leads me to believe she must need the money. I think Rihanna is really interesting because y'all know Rihanna had a 10 contract deal. And she quickly, y'all remember, Rihanna was pumping those albums out, and there has been rumors that she was a smegs slave in the industry, right? There was been so many rumors about Rihanna, but I noticed that once she fulfilled the albums that she was supposed to fulfill, y'all see Rihanna has not done music since, and people keep trying to pressure her to come back. But I feel like what happened was, y'all remember when Rihanna was dating that dude who was rich? He had money, like he was some Arab dude. I feel like Rihanna got herself out of her contract, fulfilled her contract, went messed with that Arab dude and got her a bag and enough monies to where she could start up Fenty, and she not looking back. She not worried about the music industry. And she's let it be known she ain't really worried about it. I don't think we'll get another album out of Rihanna. Yeah, it's all a front. Yeah. I mean, don't y'all think Rihanna is smart. I think we won't get another album, another tour. I think she always kind of wanted to be with ASAP, because in recent things I've heard her talk about, they had been friends before she was dating that Arab dude with all that money. So I think she always kind of had her eye on him. So she was like, shoot, let me go get the money. Let me start my companies. And let me collect this check. Let me get paid for all the pain that I've endured, and let me sit back with my kept man. And you know what? I really ain't mad at it, as much as she probably done seen and endured. You can tell Ree is done with the industry, even though I think the fashion industry put her and ASAP together. I think so too. I think they genuinely like each other, though. I think they genuinely like each other for sure. I think B is getting extorted. Man, Beyonce always look like she on something. I've seen too many videos and pictures of her where she looks like there's no soul in her eyes. And I did this on a previous live not too long ago, where I showed pictures of Beyonce when she was like young, in her early 20s, like right when she first married Jay-Z, and she was super bright-eyed and super in love. And I know as we get older and we experience things, the light kind of leaves our eyes. I've even noticed it with myself. Like, my eyes are not as bright as they used to be, and you have to like be intentional about holding on to your light. But with that said, there's a difference between your eyes not shining as bright or having that sparkle that they used to, and you looking soulish, you know. I'm not mad at Riri. Her only reason to make music now is to be in the limelight. She's famous enough. Yeah, I don't think she cares. Y'all see that she's put on weight. And before, you know, y'all got to understand, when we see people on TV, they look bigger than what they are. So Rihanna like looks thick now, but she doesn't look fat. You know what I'm saying? Like Rihanna might have gained an additional 15 or 20 pounds from what she used to be. But like Rihanna used to be extremely thin and skinny. So y'all got to understand, when these celebs are in the limelight and they have contractual obligations to fulfill and they're getting weighed, she probably wasn't eating a lot. And we think that looks good. That looks great on the cover of a magazine. But in real life, a lot of times that doesn't look good, and these celebrities are super unhealthy. Yeah, Sasha Fierce. So a lot of people feel like Beyonce was channeling demons with that Sasha Fierce. I don't know. Getting money. She looked good with the baby weight. Yeah, I think she looks good, right? To me, she looks like a normal weight. And I promise you, if we've seen her in person, she probably looks smaller than what she looks on camera. But just like imagine how she used to look in person back in the day when she was like model skinny in pictures. Like there was probably times where you could see bones. Yeah, she looked good. Yeah, Beyonce looks great too. But I've also been told by people who have seen her in person that she's really tiny. Okay, so I want to get to this. And I think this is really important. So, y'all know Donald Trump has started making his appointments. One of his appointments is he's got a new border czar, right? And I will show y'all him actually getting questioned by Congress. And y'all can tell me what y'all think. I told y'all my stance on this new wave of illegal immigration that has been allowed this last 4 years. I believe that people who were covered under DACA when it was originally implemented under President Obama should be able to stay. Because most of those people that had grown up here, they had been here for a long time. And that was a different wave of immigration where the immigrants would come and they weren't getting all that government and public assistance. They really built themselves from the ground up. I know those Mexicans in Texas, where I came from, did. This new wave of immigration came in because they were told they were going to get housing, they were going to get food stamps, that there were going to be jobs for them. And it's not even jobs for American citizens right now. We can't even get housing and food stamps, right? But they are giving the immigrants housing and food stamps. But it's getting to the point where New York just sent back 4,500 immigrants to Texas. Like even these sanctuary cities are trying to deport these immigrants to other states because they can't afford it, right? Meanwhile, American citizens are a lot of them are not paying their bills and struggling to put food on the table. So we just can't afford it. And I also feel like this was a political strategy on behalf of the Democrats to bring in all of these immigrants, give them government assistance, try to provide a pathway to citizenship for them so that they would become the new Democratic voters. Because if y'all haven't noticed, you know, they're losing the Hispanic vote. Most of the time when Hispanic people are over here legal, or if they've been over here for a couple of generations, or once they get their papers, because a lot of them own businesses and have family values, they tend to flip conservative. They do. And people might feel like that's wrong, but your interest changes with the status of your citizenship, period. You know, immigration was the only thing holding a lot of Hispanic people beholden to the Democratic Party. So I don't blame these Hispanic people for saying, hey, you know, that doesn't align with my interest anymore. I'm gonna choose to vote with the party that aligns with my interests. But now they're not useful. They have to be replaced with a new wave of immigrants. This whole election, neoliberal Hollywood industry thing is so fraudulent. I'm so glad Trump won. These people are trash. I mean, the more I see, the more I'm like, do y'all just want to be this way? Because I know so many liberals who, and y'all heard my live yesterday, I can really break down why people vote the way they vote. And you could say these things to a liberal, and the vast majority of them are like, blah, 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 blah. They will still revert back to people are racist, people are stupid, people are uneducated. It's like they bury their heads in the sand like ostriches. And I feel like you're far more likely to have an educated discussion with people who, even if you disagree with them, people who are on the right. Like, it's ridiculous. And I can't believe that we used to think that this was the party of the good people and that the Republicans were evil. Like, I just can't believe it. Obama didn't pick his people unlike late December. Oh wait, Trump does everything early. He must be white. Yeah, I don't think he's taking any chances. Well, one thing about Trump is he don't stop. He likes to work. You know, I heard him say, if you want to stop yourself from being depressed, work your ass off. So I don't think he has a mentality of I've campaigned hard. He's really been campaigning for the past couple years, to be honest. I don't think he has that mentality of, okay, I need to rest before I get in office. I think it's just like, go, press the gas. And everybody has said that about him, that he's just on go. So he's smashing the gas. And I mean, I think, you know, if you don't like him, one thing you can say is that he's dedicated to the cause. Okay. So we are going to watch this video.
300 pesos al día. Entregarás 16 sobres de alimento terapéutico cada mes en los departamentos con mayores índices de mortalidad.
Zero tolerance was interpreted.
So if y'all don't know her, this is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And she is a representative in the House from New York. I used to like her back in the Bernie Sanders days. I think she's very naive. So when she came into the House of Representatives, she went from being a waitress to all of a sudden making more money than she's ever made in life. I don't believe she has a formal education. And she came in as somebody who was like for the people and a change maker. But what happened is she spoke out on Nancy Pelosi a couple times. And I don't know what conversations were had, but she quickly got her act together and started calling Nancy Pelosi like the mama bear, even though it didn't even seem like they stood for the same things. And what it seems like to me is she has sold out, and she is absolutely willing to do whatever it takes so that she can stay in a position that she's in, you know? So it happens to the best of us. When she speaks, though, you can tell that she's came into this incredibly naive.
Interpreted as the policy that separated children from their.
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman, with
family.
all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any.
Okay, so he makes a really good point here. And for the longest time, we have been beat down, brainwashed, guilt tripped into letting illegal immigration go unchecked in our country, especially those of us who came from a leftist background, because the argument was, oh, you're separating families, right? But here, a United States citizen that commits a crime is going to be separated from their families. And if your child doesn't have anywhere to go, they put the child in CPS custody. You know, it is what it is. They don't care about whether or not you have a child.
Crime.
When you're in the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I don't think she knew the laws when she said that. See, this man has been a border agent for over 20 years, I believe. So he knows every law and statute on it. So she telling him seeking asylum is not illegal. Yes, it is illegal when you do it. You don't go through the process. There is a process for it.
Earlier, my colleague from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, asked the panel how many people here believe that child separation is an effective policy in deterrence. And no one on the panel raised their hand. I just wanted to note that for the record, Mr. Chair. I wanted to ask a question from Professor Mukherjee.
And to be clear, I don't think they're intentionally separating children from their parents. It's kind of like one of those things where if you're driving and you get stopped by a police officer or you get stopped by immigration or there's an immigration raid and your kids are at school, then off top, you're going to get separated. I would like to see them have some policies in place or procedures to reunite these families as quickly as possible before anybody is sent back over the border. I think everybody should be sent over with their family intact. It shouldn't be I got the mama, but the kids are left here somewhere. Now, y'all got to understand some parents will go back, but they want their kids to stay here. So,
is the United States violating or violated human rights agreements set by the United Nations in a family separation policy?
Yes. International law is clear that family unity should be prioritized.
So we, as members of the United Nations, signed on into an international human rights agreement saying very clearly that family separation is a violation of international human rights, and then we pursued a policy that violates human rights. Mr. Chair, I was looking, how did we get to this point? How did we get to this point where we take children out of mothers' and fathers' arms? And, it dated back, family separation, the way.
Now, notice how she had nothing to say when this man talked about Americans being separated from their children when they commit crimes. There's absolutely no sympathy for the American people when it comes to this topic of immigration. Y'all understand? It's like they will sit up and disregard the pain and suffering of their fellow Americans. And everybody is supposed to be a bleeding heart for people that are not even from this country and are choosing to enter illegally. Like they knew they were coming here illegally when they came. They knew they were breaking the law. They knew it was a possibility of deportation. And like AP said on my live yesterday, he was saying, like, I feel like if I went to a country illegally and I stayed, but they caught me, I feel like they had every right to send me back. And to be clear, there are immigrants who feel that way. I was watching Nick Shirley go about his investigation in New York. He actually went to the migrant shelters and asked them, like, what do y'all think about Trump getting elected? And they were saying basically like, hey, let the will of God be done. Like if he wants to send us home, he got that right. I saw one woman from Ecuador and she was like, I'm going back on my own. I'm deporting myself. This is too hard. This is not what I was told it was going to be.
That we have seen it where we take children away from their parents without due process began last year under Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, but I had to dig further. And our staff dug further. But where did this start within the administration? She implemented it. And we found a memo. Dates back to April 23rd of 2018, where there was an official recommendation to, quote, pursue prosecution of all amenable adults who cross our border, quote, illegally, even though this applied to legal asylum seekers in practice, including those presenting with a family unit between ports of entry.
She keeps on conflating the issues, right? It doesn't matter if you're seeking legal asylum if you don't go through the proper channels. That's what this man is trying to say. So if they didn't go through the proper channels, then they are entering this country illegally, ma'am. That's what the man just explained to you. She keeps on trying to make it seem like their human rights are being violated while they are committing legal actions. And since when is it a violation of human rights to enforce the law? I can't get taken into custody by the police and my daughter is not with me and tell the police you are violating my human rights because you're separating me from my child. Nobody's going to care.
In coordination with DOJ. Here is the memo that I would like to submit to the congressional record.
What is the date on that?
It is the memorandum for the Secretary from Homeland Security.
Date.
April 23rd, 2018, subject.
Okay, so Nicole, you said, what about the cost of deportation and the hit that the economy will take? From my understanding, undocumented workers contribute to federal, state, and local taxes. Just trying to educate myself. Nicole, if they don't receive a paycheck, how are they contributing to federal taxes? If they don't receive a paycheck and they're undocumented and they don't have a work permit, because if you have a work permit, that's different. But if you're undocumented and you don't have a work permit and you're getting paid money under the table, how does the federal government or the state assess taxes on you? That is a myth that has been sold to people. Now, they do pay taxes on things like goods and things like that, goods and services, point of sale taxes, right? But they're not paying the same amount of taxes as you or me. They're just not. As far as the amount of money that it will take to do these mass deportations, well, if we are housing them, if you have situations where dollars are being spent, taxpayer money is being spent to house them, clothe them. If you go look at the situation in New York, the vast majority of them who have come here and even been giving permits to work cannot find work. So they're having to stay in shelters. They're getting $350 worth of food stamps on a card, which Mayor Eric Adams has decided to end that program since Trump got elected. Then over time, over years and years and years, we are spending way more money to keep them here than to deport them. For example, if you house a migrant shelter in the Row Hotel, it costs about $400 a night. If you house immigrants in that hotel in New York, versus if you keep them in a holding camp, it's about $175 a night until they eventually get deported. So either way, we're spending less money, and over time, it will be less cost to the American people. She reminds me of Candace Owens. Who? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? They don't view anything the same at all. Do you mean her voice? I hear you, but keeping him here will be even more expensive. Yeah, it's like one of those things where we will have to spend a lot of money for the first maybe like year or two, but the cost of keeping him here is going to be way more. Like, and not even just that. It's not even about just the prices. It's the fact that we've let all these people in here with no background check. A lot of them came here with no papers. And then on top of that, I told y'all I live in Colombia. Even Colombians know, everybody knows that Venezuela emptied out their prisons and told them to go to the United States. Here in Colombia, they have an issue. It's not as bad as like them taking over apartment complexes, but here in Colombia, the citizens are mad and they can't wait till the next election so they can vote the president out of office. They have a liberal president here because they feel like he allowed too many Venezuelans to come over here. So they're pissed off about it over here, right? So it's to the point where and in certain areas they have seen crime go up. There has been a significant increase in women being raped. Like I said in my live yesterday, when you have all these military age men coming over here and they don't have access to a woman, they didn't come over here with women. Men just naturally need sex. The vast majority of men, they ain't going a whole year. A lot ain't even going 6 months without it. But they come from countries where it would be affordable to pay for a little piece of game. Now you come to the United States, and what might have used to cost you $10 or $20 These women out here selling it for 500, 1,000, all of that. So they can't even afford to pay for sex if they want to. It's going to be a whole lot of people getting raped. Period. That's just the bottom line here. And no, I'm not trying to classify all illegal immigrants as rapists, but to be honest, guys, it's not free to come up here illegally. You have to have money. Let's start there. Again, I'm in Colombia. I'm here. This is the starting point. This is the meet up point. This is where all this is organized. People come from all around the world to Colombia to enter the United States through the southern border. It starts here. Along the way, you have these non-governmental organizations that are there that are profiting. You have cartels and coyotes who need to get paid in order for you to pass. You cannot pass without paying. If you don't pay, you either get pew-pewed or you can pay in the form of smegs. And a lot of these women and men, these people that are starting this journey with their children and they know they don't have money, do y'all know that they began this journey knowing I'm gonna have to sell my kid for smacks? So it's a lot of kids getting raped, a lot of kids and women getting raped along the way. And if we continue to provide incentive for them to come, this is going to continue to happen to innocent children. It has to be stopped. Wow, it was all good just a week ago. Back at that time, AOC was seen as a hero for this. It seemed so racist and draconian back then. Boy, how things have changed. Yeah, I think so too. I think my opinions have changed too. I think with time and experience, you get a new perspective. Wait, Mariah, is that really true? Venezuela really is? Yes, that's not like a something that Donald Trump came up with. Yes, they did. They emptied out their country is safer now. They emptied out their prisons and was like, y'all go to the United States. Yes, yes, yes. Which is why there's so much gang activity and people taking over apartments and gang members living in these hotels in New York. Yes, it's when a lot of Venezuelans get here, the gangs are waiting on them, telling them, hey, you got to go rob or you got to do X, Y, and Z. You got to go sell this stuff for us and you got to bring us some money back. So a lot of the Venezuelan citizens who were actually good people who left for a better life come to the United States just to get exploited by the gangs that they thought they were leaving because the government sent them up to us. Yes, this is true. Guys, hit the like buttons.
Increasing prosecutions of immigration violations.
Without objection.
And so I looked at this memo and it seems like this is the source of it. And it seems as though, Mr. Homan, that you are the author. It says here from yourself, Kevin McAleenan, and Francis
there was
Cisna.
One part that
is this correct? Did you sign the memo?
That
morning. Where are you headed today?
Actually,
the
like
horse is eating my scarf.
Let's pretend
and you will understand, like, he's not
I'd have to
racist.
see families in family setting long enough to see a judge and plead their case. If we can change the rules of asylum so it makes more sense, so 90% of the people don't pass the first year, a lot fewer pass in front of a judge. Those three things would mean would make a big difference on the border and decrease the illegal entry.
Because those three things go to the heart of the matter. They go to the incentive. Is that right?
They go to incentive along with the other things, such as talking about abolishing ICE, having no detention, free education, free medical care, citizenship for those who are here illegally. When you keep offering incentives.
Going back to the cost of illegal immigration, Nicole, in Texas, it is very expensive to go to the emergency room. I went to the emergency room and I got an x-ray on my jaw and I had a $10,000 bill. And the reason why is because we have to pay for the cost of illegal immigrants. So the emergency room bills are high for American citizens. They're never going to get that bill. It's never going to go on their credit. They come to our emergency rooms and use our medical care up. They don't pay. And the cost is passed on to the American citizens. So people in Texas been paying the cost. People in these border states been paying the cost. So it's not free. You know,
for people to come, sanctuary cities come to this.
And I hope you don't think I'm being mean. I'm just like kind of passionately explaining it, but I understood where you were coming from.
Country, you'll be protected from ICE. As long as you keep having this language,
those kind of
more people
statements,
who are
those kind of-
vulnerable people are going to keep trying to come.
Those kind of statements made by Democrats in the United States Congress or in positions of influence in this country, they have an impact, don't they?
They have a significant impact.
When a member of Congress says abolish ICE, when another member of Congress says abolish DHS, when the Speaker of the House says walls are immoral, when the person who gave the State of the Union response to the President's State of the Union says she's okay with non-citizens voting, that all has an impact, doesn't it? Just like the laws that you're sworn to uphold and impact and do when you're the director of ICE.
It has a significant impact. And if this would have been fixed years ago, we probably wouldn't have seen zero tolerance. We wouldn't see the conditions on the border
But
today.
because the laws haven't been changed, because of the statements that have been made, there was a crisis. There is a crisis on the border. And that just didn't happen yesterday. Right? You think about this. There was a crisis. The administration asked for help. Democrats say it's contrived, it's manufactured, it's fake, it's not real. Then when the crisis, the real crisis gets actually worse, the Democrats blame the administration for the very crisis they helped create by the things they said and the fact it won't change the law. But somehow it's your problem. Somehow it's the president's problem. And we have Miss Costello, who went down there, her team went down there and looked this all over as the inspector general.
And this one, he went off. Here, I'm going to show y'all this video. This is on Megyn Kelly's channel.
The children, since we're against family separation.
Oh, why aren't they texting me back? Are they mad at me? Do they not like me anymore? I'm scared to ask for reassurance and fear that I'm going to look too needy. What?
That are, you know her, she's tough as nails. She's the one who cross-examined those. And in his announcement,
just get the hell out of the way before we're going.
Tom, you know, the last person who was border czar, she didn't want to be called border czar. You're proud of it, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna look like a genius, because when you follow failure, you can't help but succeed, right?
he began his career in immigration enforcement back in 1994 as a Border Patrol agent. And while his career background is important, the way he fires back at these bully Democrats on this issue and at the media is a thing of beauty. It's truly beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Last month, he was interviewed by 60 Minutes. Watch.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
And to be clear, he wouldn't know how much that is. He's worked in enforcement, so he doesn't control the distribution of the funds. So her asking him that, he wouldn't know.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Amazing. In 2019, Homan took part in a hearing on Capitol Hill. It's so good.
Okay, I'm gonna pause this. So I see what you're saying about the tariffs, Nicole. Now, I told you I was going to look into his plans for tariffs, but what I will say is at one point, guys, we did have like the government was primarily funded off of tariffs. So we didn't until the 1910s. There was no such thing as an income tax here in the United States. The government was fully funded on tariffs. So you didn't get federal taxes taken out of your paycheck. We switched to income taxes, and then we eventually did like a graduated income tax. But at one point, the government paid for tariffs, paid for itself primarily on tariffs. And during Andrew Jackson's term, he got the national debt down to zero just off of tariffs. So there is a precedent for tariffs actually being a benefit to the American people. But like I said, I don't want to speak too much on Trump's plan without doing research, but I will say that there's precedent for it actually being a good thing.
About the Trump administration's border policies. He was accused by Democratic progressive congressmen of not caring about migrant children because of the color of their skin.
Do you understand that the consequences of separation of many children will be lifelong trauma and carried across generations? Have we not learned from the internment of Japanese Americans? Mr. Holman, I'm a father. Do you have children? How can you possibly allow this to happen under your watch? Do you not care? Is it because these children don't look like children?
Okay, so I understand, Nicole, that Americans that don't have insurance drive up the cost of healthcare, but they're Americans. Like, and if Americans are already doing this, we don't need anybody else. We don't need hundreds and thousands and billions of more people coming and making the situation worse. It's like there being a fire in your house and you say, well, it's already on fire. Let me pour gasoline. No, try to put the fire out, right? And we need comprehensive medical care for all Americans, but it has to be from a situation where everybody is able to afford and to pay into it. But all this trying to take care of other people when we're struggling with our medical industry and pharmaceutical company that we have now, no, we just can't do it. Right. So I get it. Like, yes, American citizens can drive up healthcare costs, but this is, again, like throwing gasoline on a fire. It's like you got stabbed and you decided you gonna cut even deeper. It's like, no, let's stop the bleeding, you know?
That are around you. I don't get it. Have you ever held a deceased child in your arms?
First of all, your comments are disgusting. I've served my
I find your
I've served my
comments
country. I've served
disgusting
my
as
country
well,
for 34
sir.
years.
I find your
this
comments
is out of
disgusting
control.
as well.
I've served my country for 34 years, and yes, I held a 5-year-old boy in my arms. That in back of that tractor trailer, I knelt down beside him and said a prayer for him because I knew what his last 30 minutes of his life were like, and I had a 5-year-old son at the time. What I've been trying to do my 34 years serving my nation is to save lives. So for you to sit there and insult my integrity and my love for my country and for children, that's why this whole thing needs to be fixed.
If y'all didn't understand what he was saying, so the man was like, have you ever seen an unalived child? And he's like, yes, actually in the tractor trailers trying to be smuggled into the United States. And that has happened several times in Texas, y'all, and I've seen it in the news where they smuggle illegal immigrants into the back of these 18-wheelers, but there's no air and there's no ventilation. So by the time they get here, everybody in the trailer is unalive. They're passed away. You know, and you would think that common sense would lead you to believe, would lead these people to say, like, we're not going to be able to breathe in there. But then there's another element of, okay, well, now you've been compromised by these gangs along the way. You have to get there because now you owe payment. You have to pay your debts.
And you're the member.
We
of Congress.
agree on that.
Fix it. If you want to legalize illegal immigration, good luck with that, because it's going to get a hell of a lot worse on that border. If you say, well, okay, from now on, there'll be no consequence, no deterrence. It's not illegal to come to this country illegally. More families will come. 31% women would be raped. More children would die. We're a nation of laws. If you don't like it, sir, change it. You're the legislator. I'm the executive branch, and I've served my country honorably for 34 years. And I will not sit here and have anybody say that I don't care about children because you're not the same color as my children.
Ma'am, with all due respect, Neguses. Now, my daughter's father is from Ethiopia, so I have a child that's half Ethiopian. Her father came over here legally. They've always had papers. Since they came in here. Everybody in the family has come over here legally. I don't understand what that has to do with y'all. I don't understand why people who came over here legally, who are documented, who have been vetted, who are working and paying the same taxes as American citizens, get upset when American people talk about the problems that come from illegal immigration. I don't understand why y'all cannot distinguish between legal immigration and illegal immigration. Because that's the heart of the matter here. Like that's the root of these issues here. Are you talking about me? Because I never did hair. I feel like you're a troll. You are not legal too. Oh, this is a troll. You got to be trolling. Ain't nobody finna ignore. You got to be trolling. This is a troll, y'all. We not gonna feed the trolls. Oh, I'm sorry.
As a teacher,
Y'all, these dang here. I'm gonna stop. These dang ads.
you play an important role in equipping learners with the values, beliefs, attitudes, and actions required to.
He is amazing. This guy's incredible. We looked into that story he referenced of the 5-year-old boy that he was talking about that he did hold in his arms. It happened back in 2003. The boy died along with 19 others after being crammed into a tractor trailer with nearly 70 other migrants in total. They were being smuggled into the United States. This is how they do it. And they suffocated to death. Some tried to claw 2 holes through the truck's foam insulation just to try to get a breath of fresh air. Per a report by the Daily Signal, at the crime scene that day, Tom Homan was there. Homan said he directed the men taking the bodies away to save the child until last, to not remove his remains until last. Because he said, quote, I couldn't deal with it because I just kept seeing my son there. And he held that little boy. And then that idiotic representative walked right into that. Have you ever held a dead child? Yes, I have.
And that's the problem. You know, I was just thinking about this today. And again, I'm coming from somebody who was a lifelong, Democrat. And then all these things started happening since 2016. I've given my history on it. And I feel like being a Democrat is for people who are naive, and you can be any age and be naive. It's like, being a Democrat is what you think it should be in theory, and being a Republican is the mentality of what it actually is, and just accepting that. And that's why y'all will see as people get older, they tend to their views, even if they remain in the Democratic Party, tend to skew more conservative, because now you have the life experience. And you have these people who have never been to the border. You have these people who have not been in the position that he's been in, trying to make it seem like he's the bad person and talk to him in a condescending manner when they just simply never experienced it, right? And again, I also am coming with the perspective of, I don't live in the United States anymore. I live in Colombia. I came here legally, right? But there are requirements for me to be here. And the Colombian people don't like illegal immigration either. So I'm coming from, as a United States citizen living in South America, I have to pay certain fines, not fines, because I have to pay money to have a visa here. It's not free. You got to pay your way here, and I have to prove income, right? So I'm for legal immigration, but I also think there should be a standard to immigration. Can you provide for yourself? Are you going to come here and be a burden on our social benefits that our own people cannot even get? Right? I also have been able to come down here and confirm that a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump was saying was not a lie. Like, it's true. And the Colombian people will tell you, hell, it's worse than what we think. So I know that everything this man is saying is not a lie. It's not a lie. It is horrible what goes on that path here. And everybody knows about it. So for the people who bring their children along the way, I can't help but think either you were just so desperate that you would put your child through that, or you brought your children knowing that they were going to be a bargaining chip because you didn't have any money to pay. You brought your kid being perfectly willing to sell their bodies so that they could be a form of payment for you along the way. Yeah, she just came on here to troll. This is good dialogue. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, you're welcome, Nicole. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like we haven't been painted the whole picture. I remember when I was a Democrat, like one talking point that I would hear and that I would regurgitate. This is when I was young, y'all. I was like 21, 22, 23, was that most people who come here illegally come legally, but they overstay their visa. And that's not true. Like, yes, there are people who come and overstay their visa, but there's a difference between somebody coming and overstaying their visa and we have a record of them being in the country. They've had to go through Homeland Security on their way in here. We have documentation of these people. The government has photo pictures of them. They can put them in Interpol. They can make sure that they're not dangerous when they enter here legally and overstay their visa. That's something completely different from somebody coming up through the southern border with absolutely no documentation and there's not even a record. At least if they come here and they overstay their visa, the government has documentation that you've overstayed your visa. They know you've overstayed your visa, right? Illegal immigration have no paper trail at all, no paper trail at all. And again, they tried to make it seem like people weren't coming here in mass just on foot. And that turned out not to be true. I went to his page. He's a trans. Oh, okay. I comment, girl, bye. Excellent. Much needed dialogue. You brought up great points. Yeah. And I think these are good points to bring up. And they need to be fleshed out and they need to be discussed. Because I think so far we only hear these things through the lens of people arguing on 30-second clips on mainstream news channels, without it being talked about in its totality. You know, I have compassion for anybody experiencing poverty, right? But we cannot save everybody. And in any event, our country, like the crime rate in our country is skyrocketing. And I know American citizens commit crime. That goes back to my argument of it's already a bad situation. We don't need to pour gasoline on it. We don't need to pour any more gas. We don't need it. It's okay for America to say, you know what? We gonna be single and we gonna focus on ourselves right now. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't make us bad people. And again, I've told y'all this before. If you go abroad as an American citizen, trust and believe nobody has any type of empathy for you. I promise you they don't. And I'm saying this as somebody who is like an immigrant here. They wouldn't dare give American citizens free handouts. You go from being, especially if you're a minority in the United States, you go from being or if you were poor, when you move to certain countries, you automatically move to the upper echelons of society and nobody has any sympathy for you. They feel like you should have your ish all the way together. So if you fall on hard times, there's no help. And a lot of times they associate us with the terrible foreign policy that our government has had with nations overseas. So trust and believe nobody has any empathy or sympathy for you. They just don't. Dems are conditioned to depend on assistance. Yes, it's slavery. I think we need more assistance for the middle and working class and poor. Why not? I think so too. Like, I think people have forgotten about the middle class. As Bernie's been saying, the biggest welfare queens are the guys receiving corporate tax. Yeah, it's like welfare is only available for the really, really poor and the really, really rich. But the American that's just above the poverty line is expected to pay for everything, you know? And I have empathy for poor people, don't get me wrong, but yeah, that system is definitely used to keep a permanent underclass of people. And initially when things like project housing was developed, there used to be a way that it was developed so you could save money and move out and buy a house. And then it just got turned into something to trap you. It got turned into something where they was counting every single penny that you made. And if you made just a little bit over the next month, everything is cut off versus having some type of system to help people gradually save money and gradually make more money. And then when they're ready, leave. Stuck in the middle. Yeah, it's really sad, guys. But with that said, if you just came in, please, guys, hit the like button. I'm actually going to get off here now because I'm really hungry and I need to cook in a minute. But this has been a really good live. Again, I will talk about the, all the light stuff, but I'm gonna interweave some politics in here, what I know of them. And Nicole, I definitely will come back with when I get enough information about his policies on tariffs, because I don't want to come on here and misspeak, right? With that said, guys, y'all have a good night. Thank you all for coming, and I will see y'all back here tomorrow. Thank you, Skinny Boy. Thank you, Jamal. Thank y'all all for coming. Good night.